Luna, can you stop snoring, please? Can you stop snoring, please? Thank you, Bookie. Honestly, the dark bookshelf might be back. Like, I feel like me and this bookshelf are the same color and it's just not tea. It's not tea. Whew. What's up, y'all? It is Kiaaj. I am back with another video. Y'all, life has lifed. Life has lifed. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, I just could not sit down and film. But I'm back. And I'm better, and I'm back for my favorite season, which is cozy season. Every season is cozy season, but September through December, really through like January, February, it's cozy. If it's cold, it's cozy. And that's where I'm at with it, okay? So in today's video, I actually just want to take a minute to recap the books I've read since I've been gone. And give you my ratings on those. I had a lot of fun doing it last time when I did, was it June? I literally did the last one in June. That's crazy. But today, that's literally just what I want to do. First things first, I read The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. Cozy, magic, fantasy, deserted island. Like a librarian runs off to a deserted island, takes all her stolen books, and then decides to open up a jam shop where she sells magic related things, even though she's not supposed to. World building, like a 3.5 out of 5 overall. Like, I think in every category I give this book like a 3.5 out of 5 because it just didn't dig deep enough for me. Like, the lore wasn't luring enough. It just left a couple of things to be desired, but it was super cozy. It was definitely super cozy. That I truly enjoyed that aspect of it. The talking plant, the grumpy old man. I definitely enjoyed those aspects of this novel. I think I took off a couple of points because the narrator, because I did the audiobook, the narrator, half the time it sounded like she was getting ready to cry. And I'm like, what are you crying about? This is fiction. Why are you crying? And that was just kind of the vibes the whole time. Also, like, the stakes were kind of low, which I guess kind of makes it cozy because the stakes are really, really low. Like, she didn't really have much to lose. She had plot armor, you know, everybody was on her side because she's so sweet and special. I enjoyed it enough to where I'm going to read the next one in the series. I definitely, like, I enjoyed it. I ate it up because that's kind of the vibe I was going for when I read the book. I just wanted something I could eat up really quickly, take my mind off of like some of the other stuff that I had read that was a little bit heavier, and it just, you know, I liked it. I liked it. Do I recommend it? Yes. So next up, I read Nobody in Particular by Sophie Gonzalez. That I gave a straight 3 out of 5. It's like a Wattpad fiction got its wings and became a published novel. And that's not always a bad thing because, you know, your girl loves fanfic and your girl loves fanfic turned novels. And I think that's what happened here. The two teenagers that fell in love, one is a princess and one is a commoner, who came from America, came to this random country whose name I'm not aware of, and falls for the princess. And they have this secret whirlwind love affair that escalates, and they have to hide it, and you know, things happen. And that's not my first sapphic novel for the year, I don't think, but it was very, again, very cute, very low stakes. Like, it was easy to consume, very eat-upable, and you can tell that this is something that spawned from the brain of a child. Because what do you mean you're going to the same boarding school as the princess and then magically are able to get into her inner circle? Day one, you meet one of her former best friends and then you fall in love and have this like forbidden romance. There are a couple of twists and turns that I kind of was not expecting, but I enjoyed them nonetheless. It was just a flat 3 out of 5 because, again, reading about children, they do childish things. So I felt like a lot of this conflict could have been resolved way sooner. Once the biggest and main conflict happened, it could have just ended right there. But I did enjoy it. So, you know, if you want like a YA sapphic novel about a princess and a commoner who fall in love at boarding school, maybe put it on your TBR. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Next, I read James by Percival Everett. And I gave it 5 stars. I gave it a hard 5 stars because there are no notes. I would change absolutely nothing about this novel. It was amazing. I loved it. It tells the story of Huckleberry Finn from the slave Jim's perspective. It was poignant. It was evocative. It made me think about a lot of things. One of the things I enjoyed the most is the code switching. They knew how to speak plain and proper English, but they had taught themselves to speak in this coded language when dealing with their enslavers and dealing with people in the neighborhood and the community. They taught themselves how to speak this coded language to kind of get by and make everybody feel safe. And if that doesn't speak to like the survival mechanisms that we have in place today, honestly, it was a masterpiece. If you don't put any other book from this like video on your TBR, I recommend you read that one. He did take some artistic liberties with the end of the novel because if you've read Huck Finn, you know how Huck Finn ended. But again, 5 stars. I absolutely would change literally nothing. And it was definitely one of my highest rated reads of the year and one of my favorite reads of the year. No notes. No notes. Up next, I read The Teacher by Freida McFadden. Freida McFadden, I came to learn very quickly, is in the same boat as like Colleen Hoover and James Patterson and Jodi Picoult, and that they kind of just pump out fiction. They pump out fiction just hardcore nonstop. And I learned that very early on reading this novel. I gave it a flat 3 out of 5. It is a like mystery suspense. Was it mysterious? Yes. Was it suspenseful? Yes. The opening scene, it took me a good while to figure out exactly who it was going to be actually in that scene. And I figured it out. Now, there was a twist at the end that I wasn't expecting, but it was kind of weird and kind of ill-placed to me. But some of my friends that I had read it, they were like, whoa, my God. So I was like, it did have that effect on some people. It is your standard naughty for teacher romance that gets messy. It's a disturbed student and she falls in love with the handsome teacher at the school and he disgustingly falls back. There are affairs, they, hook up. It's just a whole thing. And it gets very messy relatively quickly. And then we learn at the end too, the teacher and his wife, who is also a teacher, she's also kind of gross too. I mean, it gave me the ick more than anything. But I will say that it was suspenseful. It did leave me, I did have a couple of questions throughout. It didn't grip me like some of the novels that I have read this year. It didn't like grab me by the front of my shirt and pin me up against the wall. For my first Freida McFadden, I think it was good. Like I'm not shading it. She was cute. She's like a little popcorn. You need something like to read in between your like TBR reads. You just want to pick up something really quick that seems kind of interesting. Transparently, if I'm remembering correctly, I think I read this one as a part of the Goodreads challenge that they had for this period from like July to like early September. I think that's why I picked this book. It did what it signed up to do. It just didn't do a pinch more. And that's the best way I could describe it. I feel like I'm being a hater. I feel like this is not the most positive review, but it's the truth. And I would like to tell you guys the truth. I don't want you guys to think that I love and I'm in love with every single book that I read. As a matter of fact, at the end of the year, I'm probably going to do a books I DNF'd video because there are a couple. I feel like life is too short to read books you don't like. If you get to like the 20 or 30% mark of a book and it's just not hitting, throw it away. Well, close it. If you got the physical, return it to the library, return it to the store, donate it, gift it, whatever. Reduce, reuse, recycle. But if you don't like a book, just keep it pushing. Next, I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That was our book club pick for my personal book club, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It is about a woman training to be an astronaut. And she falls in love with another woman who is training to be an astronaut. They are in this very close, very tight astronaut community. There is some tragedy. But their love story is beautiful. It had me like gasping and squealing after the romantic moments that they finally shared together. I did deduct points because I felt like it should not have taken quite so long to get to the romance. There was so much pining. Oh my gosh, there was so much pining, so much ignoring the elephant in the room, so much acting like they did not like each other. Granted, the time that they were doing this is like, I want to say like the 70s, 80s, if I can remember correctly. So I get it, like being a little, it's not quite so accepted back then. but nobody was tripping. Everybody kind of knew-ish, but nobody was tripping. Like, nobody was clocking the T. And then also I deducted like half a point, I think, because the ending to me was a bit of a cop-out. And you'll see what I mean if and when you read it and put it on your TBR and read it. I enjoyed the novel so much. One of the young women being like a space nerd, like her knowledge was very interesting. Some of her scenes gave very much lessons in chemistry vibes. And then her caring for her niece Frances, and you know, her whole relationship with her sister, the main character, and then falling for this kind of rough, slightly rugged, but still very feminine woman who's also training to be an astronaut, and then their relationship woes and that whole shebang. Like, it was very beautiful, and I enjoyed it 100%. Well, 80% because I only got 4 stars. Taylor Jenkins Reid, she's that girl. So trust her that she's going to deliver on exactly what she signed up for. You're gonna get it. It just took off like half a point each for those 2 points. But do I think this is something that you should add to your TBR? Yes, absolutely. Next, I read part 2. I read the second book in the series and I have 0 regrets. I read Caught Up by Nevessa Allen, which is book 2. I think it's gonna be a trilogy. And if the third book is who I think it's about, she could keep that third book. If the third book is about the roommate, pass. What? Disgusting. No, thank you. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I think my average this period is like 3 out of 5, 3.5. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's not quite as good as the first one, but there are some elements in this one that I kind of really enjoyed. They have a play club. So it's about Junior, her cousin, and he falls for, you know, a girl from the city who does cam work. I like how she worked to kind of destigmatize that line of work, but he falls for her, and he fell for her like years and years ago when they were literal kids, teenagers, and now her pops is out the way. He got a chance to slide back in there, you know, and he steps up and he takes control immediately. I took off a couple of points. The stakes, again, were not that high in this one. In the first one, they were a pinch higher because, you know, there's like a body to deal with. There's like a murder they have to fight through and try to, you know, get absolved of. In this one, it's literally just him fighting to escape his dad. That's it. Those are the stakes. He just wants to be away from his daddy. And yes, his dad is like a hardened criminal, and sure, that could go some type of way, but like it just wasn't written like that. It wasn't written like he could lose his life. The worst that could happen to him is he just wouldn't have no money, but Buddy has a nest egg to where he can request multiple like 3 and 4 figure video requests from this girl. Like, he's literally fine. This one, it wasn't quite as spicy as the original. It just wasn't quite as unique. There was a lot more teasing. I feel like she teased us a little bit. I feel like she really wanted us to pine for them to finally like, I feel like that's what she wanted, and that's what she got, because I read and I ate it up. Very similar to the first book in Crescent City, where they didn't actually do any damn thing until like the final couple chapters of the book. They didn't leave us quite as high and dry as Crescent City. They actually did like, there was a lot of teasing throughout. So that was okay. That was okay. I just kind of wish they had gotten to it a little bit faster, like how they did in the first book. And then also, I think I took off points because I'm kind of over the whole like fake male dialogue. Half the conversations that take place in these novels will never, ever happen in real life. And I get it, because this is a novel. It is fiction. It is fantasy. However, I feel like there should be some realism to what's being said, because I feel like we as women think that men think a certain way and have certain conversations, and they literally don't. They literally do not. I think I said this like in the Kennedy Ryan video, where they had the conversation about who's the GOAT in basketball, and it was Bron versus like Jordan, and I'm like, I sat in barbershop. I had a taper fade for like 6 months, and I went to the barbershop religiously almost every week, and those conversations were never had. Never, not once. Never, not once. Do you know what they was talking about? Cooking, desserts, the best dessert, who cooked what at Thanksgiving. That's the kind of stuff they was talking about. They was not talking about the GOAT. I'm ranting. I'm probably gonna cut all of this out. But anyway, long story short, I did take off a couple of, like a pinch of a point, just because some of that dialogue just felt extremely unrealistic, even for a fantasy. I also read Slewfoot by Brom, which I gave another 5 out of 5 stars. How do I describe Slewfoot? It is about a Puritan woman who does witchcraft. a little bit, but not evil or mean witchcraft. And her husband passes away, and her evil brother-in-law keeps trying to like take her land from her, and she has to try to fight it off. All the while, these mythical forest animals have resurrected a version of the devil, but the devil is trying to decide, he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember if he's the devil or if he's just like some old god or what he is. All I could say is I never thought in all my days that there would be a novel where the devil is unsure of himself and I was rooting for him to win. Because let me tell you, the folks in that village was doing our girl dirty. And you know, he was there, she named him Samson, and Samson is on her farm with her. They wind up in the space together, and he's helping her and she's helping him. They did our girl so dirty. They put her up for a trial, and granted, she was guilty, but not like how they were trying to make it seem. In the end, she wound up having to make a choice, and a choice was absolutely made, and I 100% agree with that choice. This is my first introduction to Brahm, and honestly, like, chef's kiss. It was a little bit slow paced, like, but once it gets building up, it gets building. He really sets the tone for each important character, and he develops them, and he like really carves them out, and he really guides you into how you're supposed to feel about these characters, and you feel that about them. Even the little opossum child halfling thing, you're supposed to hate him, but then there's a little part where you're supposed to have a little bit of sympathy for him, and that's exactly how I felt. He's like very masterful at that, and like I said, I never ever thought that I would read a book where it's like, I'm kind of on his side a little bit, like the devil. Like, grandma, if you're watching this is just a novel. It's fake, please. I did actually read a couple of other books, but I actually want to make another video about those books because I obviously was following like a little bit of a trend, and I don't know what was going on with me, but I kind of enjoyed it, and I think that you guys will too. That's where I am. Pretty much all the books on this list I would recommend to you, if only because I feel like reading, like many things in life, is subjective. What I find to be a 5-star, you might find it to be a 1-star, and what you might find to be a 1-star, I might find it to be a 3, and so on and so forth. Just go into these with a grain of salt. I hope you enjoyed. I'm so glad to be back. I hope to never leave you all for so long again. It has been real, it has been fun, it has been really fun, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.